So you're chasing down a super compact pancake prime lens for your Fuji camera, and you're unsure between the 23mm and the 27mm. Luckily, I have had heaps of experience with both of these lenses, the 23 more recently, as I had access to this one before it was even released, thanks to Fuji, and the 27 for quite a long time now, coming up on 2 years of owning this lens. Of course, the main difference between these two being the focal length, so let's start there. Usually, I'm taking one or the other. I'm never really taking both of them at the same time, so I actually went out, purposely took both of these lenses with me, just take some really simple side-by-side comparisons. And while these are not the most inspiring photos, you'll definitely be able to see the difference in field of view between the two lenses. So 23mm in full frame terms is the equivalent of a 35mm lens, where the 27 is an equivalent of around a 40mm lens. So there's not too much difference between them on paper, but when you actually attach these two lenses to the camera and compare them, it's definitely going to come down to personal preference though. For me, because I love shooting people and also I really love minimalist compositions, I'd say that more often I'm reaching towards the 27mm focal length. It enables you to crop out more of the background elements and focus in more on the subject. But if you like taking in more of the scene, maybe if your portraits are a little bit more of an environmental style, or you just really like shooting landscapes, then the 23mm could be the better option. With the 23mm also, you can consider cropping. So if you do have any of the more recent Fuji cameras with the 40 megapixel sensor, you're gonna have a lot easier time just cropping in on your image to around a 27mm focal length or even further to get a fairly similar look. Obviously, that slightly higher focal length is going to make the backgrounds blur out a little bit easier on the 27mm, so there is a little bit of a difference there. So now we'll talk a little bit about the body and the design of these two lenses, and just looking at them straight away, you'll probably think that they're completely identical. However, there are some really minute differences between the two. If you are looking at the 27mm, you might have already noticed that there are actually two versions of this lens. So there's one that was released way back in 2014, and then this version which I have here, which was released in 2021. This one has the weather resistant badge on it, and it also has an aperture ring, which the older version of this lens lacked. The 23 2.8 is also weather resistant, does also have an aperture ring, and there is only one version of this lens which was released just this year in 2025. So the 23mm does have a very slightly different shape to the 27mm, although it's physically very comparable in size and weight, almost identical. There's only a few grams between the two of them. The 23mm is just a little bit more conical in shape than the 27mm when you look at it from the top down. I think they both look really great. I don't really have a preference between the looks of either of them, and they're both built fairly similarly. I wouldn't notice a difference between them in practical terms. Both have metal mounts, metal construction, so they seem to be pretty well built lenses overall. But looking at them side by side, the 23mm definitely resolves a little bit more detail than the 27mm. Stop down a couple of stops to 5.6, and they're both pretty much identical, however wide open. I'd say that the corners of the 23 and the center of the 23 is a tiny little bit sharper. Again, in the real world, I'm never really zooming in on my images this much to really notice that difference. Another difference between the two lenses, which if you shoot without your lens corrections on you might notice, is that the 23mm actually has slightly stronger vignetting, but when you turn on those corrections, you pretty much don't notice a difference between the two. When it comes to autofocus performance, I'd say that they're both really similar. I did expect the 23mm to be a little better since it is a little bit newer, but I have a feeling that they use a very similar autofocus motor in them, and this is not the linear motor that's in some of the more expensive lenses, so you will notice a little bit of hunting around. This is not a massive deal breaker for me. Again, these are super lightweight, compact lenses that are just meant for everyday photography, and they're able to find focus quite accurately as well, and that's pretty much all I care about. So at the time of recording this video, you can't actually buy the 23mm on its own. It only comes in the kit with the XE5. I think this will be shipping on its own at the end of this year, and the pre-order price on the B&H website is $500 USD. The 27mm, of course, course, you can buy it right now and it is priced at $450 USD. So a very similar price between the two of these lenses. Personally, I do think that they're quite expensive for what they are. To be dropping $500 on such a tiny little piece of technology can be a little bit jarring, but when you consider the quality and the build, I'd say that's not too bad. Although personally, I would love to see the price of these lenses come down and make them more accessible for more people. But if you really do see a utility of having a super compact, super lightweight lens that pretty much just acts like a body cap on your camera, and if it encourages you to take your camera out with you when you might not otherwise feel like carrying a heavy setup around with you, then it could be worth the money. Personally, I think that the more often you can have a camera with you, the better. Also, given that these lenses are at least a stop faster than the kit lens options like the 18 to 55 and 15 to 45, could make them a little bit more useful in low light situations. And last of all, another cope for justifying the price is the resale value. You don't really lose a lot of money on Fujifilm branded lenses. They seem to hold their value really well. Personally, I will probably be keeping both actually. It just comes down to what I want to focus on and where and what I'm actually shooting. I am partial, however, to the 27mm. I really love 35mm equivalents and I really love 50, and I just love that it's a nice happy medium between the two. It's a really nice lens just to have on the camera if you're not sure if you're even going to be taking pictures at all, but you just want to bring a camera just in case. And both the 27 and the 23 have been really great companions to my Fujifilm X-E5 as a super lightweight setup. All the photos in this video were edited with my Lightroom profile, which you can find linked down in the description below. If you are leaning towards one of these pancake lenses, let me know which one you're thinking about down in the comments section below. I want to thank you guys once again for sticking around for another video, and I'll see you all in the next one.